What's up, guys? This is Pete, aka NY Gooner, coming at you with player ratings for Arsenal 2, Brighton 0, and then just at the end, some of my thoughts on our Champions League draw against FC Porto. So, the game yesterday, what a game overall. Just absolutely dominated. When I was looking at the stats, I thought it was interesting that Brighton actually had 51% of the possession because, watching that game, it didn't seem that way at all. Field tilt wise, we had the ball in their half more time than not, obviously. But yeah, so much lower than their league leading possession stats, but still was surprising to me to see that we only had 49% of the possession overall. But let's get to the player rating. So we'll start in goal with David Raya. I thought he was good. I think I might have been a little bit harsh on him in my assessment immediately following the game. I watched it back. I thought overall his decision making was good. What I liked about Raya was he was a little bit quicker with his passing and his distribution than he has been in the past, and I know that that's a major reason we brought him in. And when you saw him at Brentford, that was something he did really well. So I like that he's making decisions much quicker. There was one or two times where I thought he was a little bit hesitant in claiming the ball and just not, gobbling it up the way that he should have initially. But David Raya, clean sheet, good distribution. I'm going to give him a 7. Ben White, right back. So like I said yesterday, I thought Ben White was probably the worst player for Arsenal on the pitch yesterday. He got burned by Matoma on that right-hand side a couple of times. That goal that should have been with Matoma, I believe, to Pascal Gross, where he just kind of missed coming into the 6-yard box. Yeah, something's going on with Ben White. I know there's been some speculation after the game that there might be a lingering injury there, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was. We can't forget he's a center back by trade. We've been playing him at right back, but even last season when he was one of the best right backs in the league, Arteta would take him out after 70, 75 minutes a lot of the time. So it could just be that we're seeing the accumulation of time at a fullback spot for a center back, and maybe there is something there. But Ben White, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. The left side, Zinchenko, one of the only players I didn't mention yesterday, maybe the only player other than the subs that I didn't mention yesterday in my instant reaction. I thought Zinchenko was good. I thought he was okay. I think defensively, he's been a lot better this season. And again, in this game, I really feel like they didn't do much on that right-hand side. I think a lot of times that Gabby Martinelli helps him out there, but him tucking into midfield all the time, I think is one of the reasons why he doesn't get back very well on that left-hand side. And that's something that's tactical and that the manager is asking him to do. So I don't think we can fault him for that. But I did see a stat the other day where he's actually one of the least dribbled past defenders in the Premier League this year. And I think his defending has just been a lot better this year. He kept the ball moving well. Didn't do anything spectacular, but, he holds possession. He's good technically. And we did have a clean sheet, so I'm going to give him a 6.5. Okay, the center backs, and this is where the defenders really, really pick up some big numbers. So we'll start with William Saliba. Absolute class once again. In my opinion, probably the best defender in the Premier League at this point. I know there's a lot of people that are big fans of Ruben Diaz, John Stones, even Van Dijk still. But for my money, give me William Saliba. He just glides on the pitch. It's almost like he's never running full speed because his anticipation, his ability to read the game are just that good. And you saw it again yesterday against Evan Ferguson, who was literally non-existent in that game. And a lot of it is because we dominated the midfield, but when they were able to get past that midfield, our defenders just mopped it up, and William Saliba was the best one out there again yesterday. So I am going to give Saliba an 8.5 out of 10. His center back partner, Gabriel Magalhaes, I think Gabriel was also very, very good. I think maybe just a bit less so than Saliba, but again, that partnership has just grown. For all of Saliba's lightning, I feel like Gabriel is the thunder, and he's the guy that's going to get dirty. He actually did get a pretty good head on a ball one time. Didn't go in the back of the net, but that's something that he's one of our bigger aerial threats on set pieces, going at goal as well. And yeah, just, their attack was non-existent. So clean sheet, Gabriel, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. Moving on to the midfield, Declan Rice. I mean, what a player we have here. 100 million well spent, absolute bargain. Again, he just controls that midfield. And, his partners there are Odegaard, who is not the most, physical guy in the world, and Kai Havertz, who is physical, but more so when you get into the opposition box. So Declan Rice is really doing it all by himself right now. There's no Thomas Partey, but Declan Rice, I mean, he's just a one-man wrecking crew. He is, he does so much to allow our defenders to kind of play up the pitch a bit more and not have to worry about, getting beat over the top. And yeah, he's so, his ability to read the game as well, like Saliba, just so good. He's always in there breaking up the play with the opposition, allowing us to hold possession high up the pitch. And like I said, he's getting more and more progressive. He's learning his teammates, their tendencies. He's, I can't say enough good things about Declan Rice. His leadership on and off the pitch is just great. He's such a likable guy. It's almost like, I feel like he's been at Arsenal for years, even though it's only been a few months. And he just fits in so well. I hope he's here for many, many years to come. Potential future captain. No disrespect to Martin Odegaard. I'm a big Martin Odegaard fan. But, Declan Rice, man. I'm going to give Declan Rice. It wasn't my man of the match, but, like I said yesterday, kind of co-man of the match, almost there. And I'll get to my man of the match in a moment. But I'm going to give Declan Rice an 8.5 out of 10. Moving on to who my man of the match actually was, who was Martin Odegaard, the birthday boy yesterday. I believe he turned 25, El Capitan. He was just, he was showing flashes of the Martin Odegaard from last year again yesterday. Just, big chance after big chance that he created. Again, that ball that he took off the outside of his boot to set up Saka, line-breaking pass. Just so many of those, What I mentioned yesterday, again, was I love how he is, while we don't have Partey, because for all the things Declan Rice does well, I think the one thing that Thomas Partey does much better, at this point at least, is he transitions the ball from defense to attack much quicker and much better than Rice is able to. So what Odegaard's been doing now has been dropping deep, and he's been kind of, just drifting wherever he needs to be in order to get that ball from defense to attack, and he's kind of taken on that role now, and he's everywhere. I mean, he never stops running. A lot of times he leads the press, even though we have Gabriel Jesus, who is maybe the best pressing striker in the world up there. So he never stops running. Just unbelievable performance. Like I said yesterday, he probably should have scored once, maybe even twice, but just so much quality, just technically sound. And I'm going to give Martin Odegaard a 9 out of 10, and he was my man of the match. Moving on to Kai Havertz, who is a guy where I was watching yesterday, and I'm like, this guy, just what has he really done in this game? Getting ready to kind of say, like, he's been good, but, this game wasn't really his best. But then he comes through with that goal at the end to make it 2-0, give us a little bit of breathing room right when things were starting to get a little bit hairy, and just allowed us to relax a little bit for those last few minutes. I love that he is starting to score. His finishing has improved quite a bit. You could see that his confidence is growing game by game, and I love the support he's getting from the fans. The 60 million down the drain song, it just feels good to be able to sing that, and it just feels good to be able to stick it to Chelsea fans every time he puts one on the back of the net. So Kai Havertz, because he scored that goal, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. So to the attack now. We will start with Bukayo Saka on the right. And I thought Saka had a pretty good game. I would have liked to seen a little more output in terms of G&A. But, he was really giving their left back huge problems with his speed. And, underrated in terms of his strength, puts in a lot of good balls into the box. Even when he's not having his best game, you still see why he's one of the best young players, if not one of the just best overall players in the world, period. So Saka, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Over on the left-hand side, Gabriel Martinelli, again, I thought he was okay. He was beating their young right back quite a bit once he came onto the pitch. And, that's a tough situation for an 18-year-old to be in, to come in at the Emirates against a guy like Gabriel Martinelli, who is just so quick. But I think that, Martinelli is at his best when he's able to just be instinctual. I would love to see him pull the trigger more on some more shots. He's a good finisher. I believe he led the team in goals last year. I think he had 15. And I would just like to see him shoot more. A couple times yesterday, he had some options available to him, and he kind of froze in those situations and just kind of held onto the ball and started dribbling around a bit. So that's always just, that's the one area of his game where I think he can just improve the most, is his decision making, and when he has to start thinking, making the right decisions and keeping his head up. But, he does put in a shift, and he gets back to help Zinchenko on that left-hand side. So I'm going to give Martinelli a 6.5 out of 10. Might be a little harsh. Maybe I'll go 7 for Gabby. And then Gabriel Jesus, the last of the starters up top, he got his goal at a time where, it started to seem like it might be one of those games where we dominate but don't pull through. And then, we've seen it in the past. All of a sudden, the opposition come through and they'll sneak one in the back of the net, and all of a sudden we're down 1-0. So it was a really important time to get that goal. And yeah, that just sitting at that back post, I think that's a great spot for a striker to be. We've seen so many top goal scorers get so many goals from that position. So I'd like to see him, be there a little bit more on those corners. And yeah, good to see him get his goal. I think that's only maybe like his third of the year in the Premier League. So I really like to see those numbers, start to jump for him. He does so much for the rest of the team in terms of creation, but you'd like your striker to score goals. And he got his goal. He was doing his Brazilian thing with some nutmegs and spins and whatnot. So I'm going to give Gabriel Jesus an 8 out of 10. So the subs, let's see. We have Eddie, who had the assist for that second goal to Kai Havertz. Because of that, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. We also had Trossard, who came on and kind of had that pre-assist. If you recall, on that second goal with Kai Havertz, you had Trossard, who looked like he might have been, trapped in our own half, kind of dribbled the ball around a bit and then released it to Nketiah, who then got the assist to Kai. For that, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 as well. Rest of the subs, I don't believe we're on long enough. I think Emile Smith-Rowe came on. Who else came on? I think Reece Nelson, but not on long enough to really do anything in terms of rating. So I'm just going to give them a standard 6. And then let's go to the manager, Mikel Arteta. I think he picked the right team. I think we dominated the ball. Roberto De Zerbi team, especially a Brighton team who's been a bogey team for us the last couple of years, for them to get dominated like that and for him to make wholesale changes early in the second half the way that he did. I think he made, a triple change, which you don't see from him a lot. Just shows you like the level of dominance, even though it was only a 2-0 victory, and I think it was maybe 1-0 to the Arsenal at that point. Yeah, perfect team. I'm going to give the manager a 9 out of 10. Referee, thought he had a bit of a shocker today. You shouldn't be warning people on their third or fourth foul on a guy. I think that's when the card should be coming out, maybe even earlier than that. And I thought that there just could have been a lot more yellow shown to Brighton than there was. So ref gets a 3 out of 10. The Emirates crowd, 10 out of 10. Singing songs, they were loud the whole time. I know the team was kind of spurring them on, but we dominated. They, good day out at the Emirates. And yeah, we jump into first place after Manchester United did us a favor and got the draw at Liverpool yesterday. So yeah, now we have a week off. We will be going to Anfield on Saturday. Looking forward to that one. It's probably the biggest game in the Premier League so far this season. And I'm just going to give a few thoughts on the Champions League draw now. We drew FC Porto, who, going into it, I would have said was probably one of my preferable draws. You know, I would have liked to have gotten Copenhagen, obviously, but I think we all knew that City was probably primed to get that relatively easy matchup, given the other choices that you could have had there. But yeah, Porto. I know a lot of people are happy with that, and you know, frankly, I am too. But not going to be a walk in the park. I think especially that first fixture in Portugal, I think is going to be very tough. They're a team that has a winning heritage and a winning heritage in Europe as well. They've won the Champions League before. We have not won the Champions League before. We don't have a lot of guys that have experience in the Champions League in the squad. So I do think it's going to be tough. I think we will get the job done. I think we're a better team than FC Porto, but crazy things happen on those Champions League midweek, you know, nights. And I think Arsenal get through, but we're going to have to really, you know, get prepared for a war over the two legs. I think if we can, you know, I'm not going to Portugal looking for a draw, but if we can hold them to a draw or hopefully better in Portugal, I think that we're in a pretty good spot. So it'll be interesting to see who comes into the team in the January transfer window as well, and who's back. If Partey is back by then, you know, because this fixture is not getting played until, I think, February 13th is the first leg. So be interesting to see what happens there. But those are my thoughts. Those are the player ratings for today. Again, Arsenal 2, Brighton 0. And I will see you guys later this week with another video. Again, this is a new channel, so if you guys could like and subscribe, that would help me out so much. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.